I am so excited to have you here. Today we're going to be talking about fountains, and specifically 4 reasons why you might want to think about having a fountain in your space. But before we go into that further, I want to tell you who I am. My name is Kendra Gardner. I am an architect, designer, and feng shui expert. And I'm the founder of Energetic Spaces. And at Energetic Spaces, we work on creating spaces with energy infused design that create holistic spaces that allow you to manifest your dreams and desires by integrating feng shui and other healing modalities into the design process. So with all this information, all this other stuff, I really want to talk about using fountains. I felt with every consult and every new client I met, they're always asking about fountains as if feng shui and learning about feng shui instantly brought fountains to the forefront, especially using it in the interiors. You might have seen it a lot in the exterior or in plazas outside of parks for other myriad of reasons, but definitely really talking about it using the feng shui and the power of fountain and the energy it brings to a space. So I'm going to talk about 4 reasons why you might want to consider adding a fountain to your space. 4 reasons to use a fountain in your space. First primary reason is it brings in the water element. And when we talk about the water element, we're not talking about the Western world and how we think of historically how they would think of 4 elements: water, earth, fire, and air. It's not that. Actually, when you talk about feng shui and the elements, you're talking about 5 elements, which would include earth, metal, fire, wood, and water. But aside from that, each of these elements have interesting characteristics and have different energies that they offer to a space. So when you talk about water and the water element, we're talking about specifically the great things that come with the water element and what it represents when you talk about water and feng shui. So the water element allows people to connect to their inner wisdom, gain clarity, and find their purpose. So the water element is a really powerful element for those kind of things, and bringing that into your space is obviously a great thing and a very positive thing that it can improve everything in your life and in your circumstances. But when we talk about the water element, there are 2 different types of energies or feelings that kind of relate to the water element. So there's the still water, which you think of like lakes, and then there's the dynamic water, which you think about like rivers and the roar of the ocean. So there's different energy incorporated with both. The stillness one might talk more about the pensive nature of water and the reflective qualities it offers, as opposed to the dynamic is more about connection and the flow and moving and bringing things together. So when we think about fountains, we're actually really focusing on the dynamic nature of water and that type of energy. So the dynamic aspect of water correlates with the interaction of people, the world, and especially with social interactions and connections and opportunities. So you can see how this is really good to be encouraging opportunities and connections. And it might relate to certain things specifically, such as your business or your career or anything of that nature. Like there's some really interesting intrinsic qualities that go with dynamic water that the fountain is offering to you and your surroundings. It doesn't matter whether you have a roaring fountain like you would see a big one in a major city like the Trevi Fountain, or you have a very simple one that, like a little Zen one that you might have in your house or in your garden. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's flowing. It's the dynamic energy of water that you're bringing in when you use a fountain. The other great quality that comes from using a fountain is it increases the energy flow. It helps bring in and call in energy, which is great because a fountain kind of acts like an energy magnet. It is like calling it in. So if you're in a place that could really use a little more energy, or you're trying to bring more energy to your space or call energy into where you're working, it is wonderful to incorporate a fountain because that's exactly what it is supposed to do and will do for you. And fountains, as you can imagine, if they're calling in energy, they actually are a great energy boost. There's a lot of different ways when we're working in spaces, especially if you come to stagnant spaces and just feel off and you're trying to improve and bring some positive energy. Fountains are wonderful for that because they help boost the energy. And there's a few things you can use in feng shui that help boost energy, but fountains are lovely and a great, powerful way to enable you to do that and help bring in more positive energy and manifest the good, positive things that you want to bring into a space, especially if it's a little off. It's a great way to help change it. Another huge reason, probably the biggest reason why fountains are so popular, especially when talking about feng shui, is fountains are a great way to increase your wealth and abundance. And it's interesting because although it's a traditional Chinese cure to use a fountain, we use fountains in every culture has a use and an understanding and appreciating of fountains. And actually, I think it's very interesting in the Western culture, there's a big thing of correlation of money with fountains. Like I always think of this movie, 3 Coins in a Fountain, where they throw the coins in the fountain at Trevi Fountain in Rome. And it's this understanding of like what it means. It's more than just money. It's about coming home. It's about bringing stuff. Like there's more to fountains. Like we make a wish, we toss coins in there, and it is translated several times. We use the whole fountain and the whole water flow flowing energy thing to help us manifest or bring in stuff. So it is understood in more than just the Chinese culture. It is understood kind of universally that that's what a fountain, specifically fountains, can kind of offer and bring. But to go back to the whole idea of wealth and abundance, so water, and specifically fountains, help bring in the positive flow, which allows for the qi and the positive benefits of qi to come, allowing there to be prosperity. And there's a lot to go with water, and having water flowing in your town that offered historically prosperity and wealth and abundance, and that still carries forth now as an affirmation of positivity and fortune and brings blessings to your space. So that's a big, big, big reason why people are always trying to think of ways to use fountains in their space. And then the fourth one, which might not be what you first think of, but it's probably one you recognize when you think of a fountain, is that it offers a beautiful, soothing sound. It kind of helps change the atmosphere. And it doesn't matter whether you have a big, roaring fountain that can dull out the roar of a city, or you have the simple trickle of like a Zen fountain that, slowly drips and trickles. That sound, no matter which one you have or choose or prefer, offers a soothing nature that is really wonderful and people can appreciate, and that's why it's constantly used. And not only is it that the atmosphere and sound that it often offers things to other things. So it actually, a water feature encourages other animals to come. So whether or not your fountain is designed to be a bird bath or so happens to end up being a bird bath, you're increasing your energy by encouraging other things to come to the space, which keeps flowing, keeps increasing prosperity, keeps bringing more opportunities and fortune to you. And I don't mean just birds. It brings all types of water, wildlife or things like, you can have a fountain that has fish. You can have a fountain where it's a bunch of hummingbirds, butterflies. It could end up being where your pets drink from. This whole idea that like this water and the flow and how it calls in everything into nature and all the different animals, which change and improves and increases the energy, is wonderful. And it totally can add such positivity and positive good energy to your space and surroundings, which is why it is such a benefit to have a fountain. So in review, if you're still wondering, I just want to kind of go over why it is wonderful to use a fountain in your space. And first and foremost is to bring in that water element, which as we already know, is wonderful how it opens us up and allows for opportunity to come to us. It increases the flow of energy. It can help bring in positive energy to help a space feel better. It encourages and increases your wealth and abundance. And it also brings and creates and helps to stimulate a beautiful, soothing atmosphere. So thank you for listening. If you're kind of curious about other things, if you want to learn more about fountains, please stay tuned. We're going to do a series of videos to talk about fountains, talking on our next video about where to locate your fountain so it can be the most auspicious for you. So stay tuned for our next video. I look forward to talking to you more about this. And remember, as always, everything is energy. And we will be talking to you soon on the next video. Thank you.